Ms. Tlaib.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, if I may, I do want to begin in asking unanimous consent to enter into the record research from Immigration Forum confirming that evidence that indicates that illicit fentanyl is primarily brought to the United States by American citizens and usually through legal ports of entry.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I grew up in Southwest Detroit, and if you look at Southwest, it's the most vibrant economy-wise, but cultural. It's diverse, 20 different ethnicities. And many of my neighbors have been mixed up with or just been really directly impacted by the broken immigration system. And it's something we're not talking enough about. We always focus so much on the border, but let's talk about so-called, quote, legal immigration in our country. Mr. Bier, are you familiar with the visa bulletin?
Yes.
This is where our families go to that are United States citizens or green card holders, where they say, oh, I'm going to go ahead and apply for my sister, my brother in Mexico or other countries. Do you know what the average wait time for them to get adjustment of status? Not approval, because they'll get approved, sometimes within a year or so. But this is adjustment of status where they actually get access to a green card to actually come into the United States. Do you know how long?
Well, for siblings, it's going to be over 2 decades.
Yeah, that's just in Mexico. So I know, for instance, my mother, when she applied, it was about 12 years for her sibling. And I remember also working as an immigration attorney by trade, working on cases where even when that time came, it was 2 years or so after before they could even get an appointment at the consulate to adjust their status. Do you know how long it is to get U.S. citizens with children that are over 21 years old?
Again, it's over a decade.
Yeah. I think it's really important to talk about this because there is a process and there are laws and they're trying to follow the laws, and it's literally decades before they can actually unite with their families. And I don't think people talk about that. Mr. Bier, the other thing that they don't talk about, in Southwest Detroit, do you know how many U.S. citizens I have that are married to undocumented spouses?
I'm sure it's thousands.
They can't adjust their status here in the United States because of criminalization. They have a pathway. They have a pathway to go through the legal process, and they're not able to adjust their status, even though they have children, they're paying their taxes, they're participating. They're my neighbors. For 2 decades, they've been my neighbors and have no pathway to citizenship. Can you talk about the fact that we are so focused on all these other rhetoric and just kind of messaging and so politics? Because I'll be honest, I'm going to tell the truth. I think both Democrats and Republicans have failed our immigrant neighbors in our country. It's not just one or this. We have. It's been overwhelming for me to be here the last 5 years and watch us using the same rhetoric. I mean, I kid you not, I hear this thing of like prisons first, humanity later, but I see it from everyone, that is trying to say they're going to be tough on immigration. I can tell you tough on the border from the forever impeached president, from President Obama, Bush, Clinton, and so on. It hasn't worked. It hasn't united families. It leaves them in this limbo of 10, 20 years, and some even more than that. And the fact that we have thousands of U.S. citizens literally in my community that can't get their spouses access to a legal pathway because we've literally layered on all this bureaucracy and there is no pathway. And that's why I think it's really important for all those advocates, everyone that continues to come to our offices, when they're talking about fix the immigration system, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about this. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of talking about these processing times, talking about the fact that we're not actually really investing in so-called legal immigration process in our country?
Yeah, so you mentioned that, it's 2 decades for a sibling, it's over a decade now, but those are just the ones who applied a decade ago. For the people who are applying right now, it's effectively indefinite because there's been so many people who've applied over the last 2 decades that at this point, these legal immigration pathways effectively do not exist. For Mexico, basically you cannot apply for that family-based immigration system at all. Your sponsor will certainly be dead before you can immigrate. So at this point...
Yeah, but all my colleagues can just go to this visa bulletin. Right now, do you know what they're working on for unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens? They're working on 2015 applications that have been approved, but they can't adjust their status. I think it's important because there are people that are trying to do the right thing And we're failing them because we don't have a process that meets the needs of our country. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield.